I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item is the minutes from the last meeting.
I think the only thing I think the date was off on the top. Or it wasn't the one I could have been changed. I know.
It says 2/3.
It says 2/3/24.
Yes, so you can change that.
Did I pass the test?
Yep, you did.
Remember, I always joke about you doing one thing to see if we check it.
A motion to approve then with that change.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Paul makes a motion. Seconded by John. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the delinquent, or the bills. Everybody had a chance to look at the bills. I have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the bills.
John makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Paul. Is there any other discussion? Motion. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Next is the delinquent bills and the shutoffs. Do I have a motion to approve?
Or did I misunderstand you? What? I thought we just did this.
Oh, we did the bills.
Oh, the bills, okay. Looking at the discounts. You buried the bills.
Got Jennifer on there twice.
Two different amounts, though. Two different amounts, though.
Yeah, she's got two different accounts.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Paul, seconded by John. Any other discussion? John?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Motion. I'll vote yes. Motion carries. The financials weren't done, so she'll get those to you because she said there were some issues that she had to go over. So we'll look at the January financials hopefully at the next meeting. So we'll go over commissioners' reports. We'll start with John tonight.
I do not have anything to report.
Okay. Paul?
HEDC, I did attend the Choke County Community Showcase on February 5th. I want to thank Casey. She did a good job of supplying information. She's got packets together now. So if anybody is interested in what the city has to offer for incentives, she's already got all that put together. So if anybody needs those, they'll be ready, and they're not marked as far as dates, so they can be used anytime, or as long as we have those programs, she can use those. So I want to thank Casey for taking the time to do all that, and I'm sure that Abby helped do some of that too, didn't you? Those folders, probably?
Yep.
Yep, so thanks for all that. They really look nice, and I thank you for doing that. I'm sure you'll touch on the beautification. We had that meeting. And then one other thing, excuse me. Need local class, just a reminder that that's been rescheduled for April 23rd. I'm trying to, Abby, get them to make up a poster that we can maybe put that on the clock up there. I think that's beneficial for anybody that hasn't done that. And that's been rescheduled for April 23rd, so they're gonna try and put a poster together so we can get that on the clock, and that's all free. If anybody wants to go to that class, it's put on by NDSU. And then on the electrical side, it came to my attention today that we have some of our load controls that aren't reading. So we just kind of a random call on a couple people today to find out why they weren't reading or registering, and they went to those homes and they found out they had been bypassed. So just to note to people out there that if you're bypassing your load controls, that's a no-no. If you have a problem with your load control for any reason, whether your hot water heater or something's not working, get a hold of Roy with the city or call the city, and they'll check it, okay, before you go bypassing them. Those are just ones that if they can't read them, we just have to go and check to make sure why they're not reading, if it's a problem with the load control or whatever it is. So if you have issues with something, please call us before you just randomly bypass it. And then, I don't know if you have anything to add on that, Roy, or not?
No.
Okay, so, and they're gonna try, I think he was gonna talk about trying to get some of your information out. Did you get a chance to do that today? Talk to Abby yet or not? About getting some of your
not
contact?
yet. So we were gonna just, come up with a plan on how to go about going around checking.
No, I'm talking about just getting your contact information out.
Oh, no, I haven't spoken with Ashley
Okay,
about it, no.
we're gonna try and get it so that people get his number, so they're not bugging Jay for electrical stuff. So whether it's putting something on the website or the app or something, just to put his smiling mug or something out there so people kind of know who he is, and so that they can call him, and, because he would like to know firsthand instead of hearing it from somebody else. So if you have an issue with anything electrical, whether it be your load controls, or you have a power issue or something like that, you know, or you're noticing things, a surging or whatever it might be, or flipping of lights, and you think it might be something tied with the city, to please contact Roy directly, because he's the one that's gonna be able to help you the best and come and look at it, or whatever it might be. So we never had that in the past. Everybody always went to Jim. So now we want them to go to Roy so that he can deal with it firsthand instead of hearing it through 4 or 5 different channels. So be watching for something on that, that'll be put out there, and maybe put his contacts in your phone, and if you have a problem ever, you know, you don't have to call him just to ask him how he's doing, but you can call him to tell him that everything is working great. Thanks for letting us do that, Roy.
They want people to call to ask the phone.
So, and I think that's all I have there.
Okay.
Of course, we're still working. I think we're gonna talk a little bit about some electrical stuff later in the meeting, but that's getting closer. Hopefully we'll have that in the next meeting. Hopefully I won't have to say that next meeting that we're having at the next meeting. So I think they're getting closer, right, Roy?
Yes, yes, we are.
It's working. I don't know why it's quiet. It's a new computer, so that might be part of the issue. I'm trying to work. The only thing I have is on planning and zoning, and is they're working towards a new permit application. We weren't able to have a meeting last week because there was too many gone. We're still looking for a member on planning and zoning for the extraterritorial zone. And on beautification, we're still looking for another individual yet, or several that want to join, and they are moving forward more on the beautifying side, and they're trying to find some different projects. They're looking at the railroad park, trying to figure out what the design is, and so we're reaching out to a few people to come up with a design for that. Zach, or do you have anything tonight?
I do not.
Okay. Roy, do you have anything?
On the electrical side?
On the
yeah.
electrical side specific?
Electrical side, no, I'll wait till I get more information, more accurate information.
Okay. JR?
I did send that email with that easement regarding East Central Water. Not sure if you guys had a chance to review that.
Yes.
But I did talk with Tammy Norgard, the attorney for East Central. In short, we kind of approved this the last meeting when this was the official document that does extend it, giving them the right to use that land beside our water treatment plant and to share the wall. In short, they require this so that East Central can move forward with their financing. Doesn't mean it's going to technically be put up yet because we still have to work on our operations agreement, which that easement references, but it does let them fill out the paperwork they need to get their process started. So in short, I'd be asking for an approval of that easement, so at least we can submit that. They know that they have that permission. Finer details to come.
So will they, at what point will they know as far as, so is that, how much land do we own out there? It's not anything limits, it's just what we own?
310 feet by 400 feet.
What did we answer?
Someone knows, yeah.
Somebody called in and asked about it today, so that's the only reason why I know.
There you go. They're taking over the piece to the west of it now.
And we own enough there?
That's up to them, I guess. Their engineer, their
Oh,
whatever they're
okay.
doing. Because
They're
the ones
making
who-
it fit within
They're
that.
making fit what we have, okay?
Yep,
And we're not selling it, we're just leasing it
correct.
to them to use.
And when do we expect any kind of more information as far as what their long-term goal is out there, long-term plan? And
So I have reviewed documents to that effect so far. I think we need to kind of have a sit down with Neil to see some points. Levi might be able to speak better on that one. I had a great talk with Tammy on it, but we need to hash out some finer points of the logistics of it all.
Most of it right now is just, one, how are we gonna operate the shared worker if we're gonna do it with Zach as being an operator of that? How are we gonna share that, how that's gonna work out? So that's one fine point of it that we need to work out. Two is on the electrical side, until DGR gets done with their study and then goes to MRES to get the rate study done, we can't really give a rate to them that would be appropriate. So those two things have to come into play before we can move forward on that, that agreement. The rest of the stuff will be us sharing equipment. You know, are we gonna share a generator or not? Those are smaller details that we would work out. But as far as benefits for us, I assume Zach would know too, that if we have to shut down our plant, well, now we have another plant that's up and running to feed long-term, you know. We do have the water tower as a backup for some stuff, but that's only gonna last so long, so. Or, you know, if we need to take our side down for whatever, if something happens at our side, now we have those redundancies. But it's, so the water treatment itself is not gonna be a horrible thing, it's just working out those finer details, and until we sit down, there's no use sitting down to just talk about Zach stuff until we get the electricals to get that figured out. I think those are the two major things that
I would say so, yes, yep. Everything else basically is following our current joint powers agreement as listed.
Right. The one thing they did mention was, you know, instead of our joint powers where we do a true up, maybe it'd be, if Zach is the one running the water treatment plant or doing stuff over there, it would be whatever his rate, whatever we're paying him, when he's in that plant, he just keeps track of it an hour and they pay us back whatever Zach's rate is. So then, you know, if he has to go over there in overtime, then he gets paid overtime by them. So it's not necessarily a cost to us. It'd actually be a cost savings in some aspects, but we might have to look at other things to see how we're gonna do that to make things work for us.
There's some other things on that agreement that I have some questions and stuff about, so I guess when you.
I was just gonna mention that, we gotta make sure that because this could really be a big deal here, because even if, yeah, I'm not saying that I'm against it, what I'm saying is, okay, let's say now he's managing another water plant. Well, now we have concerns, okay, we're gonna have to, what kind of work to say, is he not getting done now because he's doing that? So we'll have to have that conversation too.
Well, and that's what we have to figure out, if that's something he wants to do.
That's the first thing we gotta know too in the bargaining process. And of
But
course,
those are all details that
Right,
are
right.
farther down the road, and I don't think we can do that until we figure out what our electrical side is, because they're not gonna know what it's gonna truly cost them until we can give them that answer.
So. And I also know there was brought up about an easement, about another driveway they wanted out there too, they were talking about.
They could have been talking about that, but nothing has been,
Was mentioned to the
nothing
county.
is mentioned yet, so.
It's in that agreement, talking about a driveway. Have you seen that agreement, Paul?
No, I haven't seen it. Somebody came and talked to me today about it and was wondering, what the deal was with that. You guys are working on that, Steve?
Yes,
Okay.
well, we're not working on the agreement, we're,
No, the easement.
what that,
Something with the easement that was presented by you guys?
yeah, we drew up I drew up the survey,
Okay.
and East Central is actually writing the easement. We don't have anything to do with the language that's in it, I just drew up a legal description for it.
So that's something else too that they might want to, because the gentleman that was talking to me, they didn't know how well that was gonna go over with that, to have another separate driveway. I'm thinking they were talking to the west.
I would assume so.
Yeah, so, because the way that is there, that could be quite involved, so. And as you know, they didn't even want to give us any more driveways over on the west side over there in River Walk either. They didn't want it anymore, so they might be, that's something too that, everybody has to keep in their mind too, and.
But
then
those are details that are outside of our scope of.
Right.
Yeah, that's something that East Central is, they're doing in the site plan that, for the water plant, they'll cut a hole in the trees, and I know it's higher there, the bigger ditch there and stuff, but the plan is to put another access road in. And then they're gonna buy the land all the way up to the edge of the trees, to the west. Up against that other house there.
So what I do need tonight is just approval from you guys to sign off on that agreement, the first agreement, the easement part of it, so.
Yep, it was 2 pages I sent on Friday.
Friday, yep. Do I have a motion to approve that?
Well, if it matters, but you have a missing L in one of your trail counties under your parent parcel.
I will make sure that it's corrected. I didn't draft that, and if it's in the legal description, it might have came from someone else's office.
It just played out. I never read the whole thing, so.
I take away all blame for myself. I'll make a note though, thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Did you read it, Mark?
I didn't read the whole thing, no, so I was kind of leaving that, JR would know better than me, so if it's right, so. As long as he has no problem with the words in it, so.
The main caveat that we have with this is it says in there is we have to work out the finer details. The next agreement is the one that has the operational expenses, how we'd share a worker, what rates would be charged, which those are the more important details that we approve that, yes, you can build to the west.
I'll make a motion to agree, to go with the expansion easement agreement.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Moved by Paul, seconded by John. Is there any other discussion? Paul?
Yes,
John?
Yes.
A yes for me. Motion carries. Anything else, JR?
That is all.
Okay. Anything, Abby, tonight from you guys?
I was left with no notes.
Okay. Steve, you are up.
Right, so I got a whole list of things here for you, so glad everybody made it. That Bodeker Drive, we sent out a preliminary engineering report, for it. It's basically done, we're just waiting on the grant to come down that we would attach that to, in case there's any other changes and stuff we would make to it. But as far as that, the main information you guys probably want to see is on page 8. there's 4 alternatives. One's a do nothing for $0. Number 2 is basically $750,000 would be graveling that entire road and putting fabric down, but just leaving the road as gravel. 3A would be paving down as far as the entrance into Riverview, and then gravel the rest of it. And 3B would be paving the entire road. So we had them 4 options in there, and we have to reach out with solicitations from a bunch of different government agencies to put in. So we're just kind of waiting for, once we find a grant to attach this to, it's ready to go. Are there any questions on that?
And this one is partly because of the grant that we looked at last time and didn't work. And that's at the legislative right now, seeing how that'll go through again this year. Hopefully it'll go through and we'll be able to use it as a city property, so I hope. That one in particular anyways.
And then the next item was contract extension for E2S. Our 5-year agreement is up coming this spring. So then we can get an extension for another 5 years. It's just task order agreement, so there's no fees assigned to it. It's just allowing us to keep doing task orders with you guys, and that's just a master service agreement. And otherwise, nothing else has changed on the agreement side of it. But if you guys are in favor of that, we can have Levi sign that and keep working.
Have you read through all that?
Well, the one document that's like 50 pages, or whatever, that's the original agreement that you guys signed 5 years ago.
I did.
Somebody,
I don't know if I did.
probably nobody here did.
Yeah, nobody, well, you might have been here yet, huh?
I was here, but I didn't read it in full.
And then the other one's that one page, that document, that's just extending the agreement for another 5 years.
So we're just approving to extend it basically.
Yep.
As long as you guys are okay with that, which I assume the commission is, because we, at our last reorganization, you guys approved to have AE2S as our engineering firm. So.
Yeah, as long as we haven't had any issues with anything that you guys are aware of, I haven't had any issues, so
Okay, is that a motion to
I'll
approve?
make the motion.
Paul makes a motion, is there a second?
I'll second
Moved by Paul, seconded by John. Any other discussion? John?
Task order agreement, correct?
Yep.
Yep.
John?
it. Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
And a yes for me, motion carries.
Then the next item is grants. So since President put a pause on all federal grants, there's been a withdrawal of that, and they've allowed some of the grant money to go through now. So we were able to request our final payment from the USDA to get our final payment for that grant for the water and sewer project. We requested that a couple weeks ago, and that money has came through, so that all that grant money is fully withdrawn. We do have one last check that needs to be sent out. It's for crop loss payment, and I think we approved that before. It was $1,620 for crop loss, and I got the document back from them signed. It says they accept that for a payment. So if you guys agree to that, or that was already approved.
That was already approved, yeah.
So I'll get that to Abby, and she can get it on the next, not Abby, Casey, so she can get it on the next payroll.
Bills, yeah.
The pool grant, it's tied up with House Bill 1019 right now. It, as of yesterday, it was edited and forwarded on for approval, or with approval. So when it gets back on the agenda, it's supposed to be approved. And that's going to be with the next biennium money, so it probably won't come out until, if they're using new money, it won't be until like July before we can withdraw funds on that, unless they're allowed to carry that money over from the last biennium. But either way, it's, the document is moving forward and through the House right now. And the lead and copper inspections that we've been doing on the water lines in town. So far, Hillsboro did a voluntary mail order, so they send notifications out to everybody, and everybody can voluntarily check their service lines to see if they're lead pipes. And that portion is complete, and now the next part we're moving on to is actually going into the houses and checking them physically, the ones that didn't respond. And right now, Hillsboro has not been approved to get the grant money for that. There was a couple small cities in North Dakota that got approved before the grants were put on pause, and them projects are still going through, but that was like towns less than 300 people, I think, that they approved so far. So once the whole reshuffle comes out on all this grant money, then hopefully Hillsboro can get back on track and move on to that next phase of getting the lead lines inspected in town. But we're keeping an eye on that. We'll let you know when we're getting around to doing that. We'll send out notifications, and then we'll have people going door to door to check that out. But that probably won't be until the summer, by the time it gets approved. And one other grant is for the electrical improvements. We're looking into a grant that's through the Federal Department of Energy, and it's operated by the state of North Dakota, but it's federal money. And they're thinking there's going to be about $7 million worth of electrical grant money statewide, and they would recommend that you apply for anywhere from $2 to $3.5 million for your electrical improvements. I had Abby look into it, and she thought it would be about $4,000 to put the application together for the grant. And she can get started on it right away and start working with the state agency and DGR and make sure that they get the right application, because there's a few different ones, I guess, that can be done. But she can get it together, start putting the stuff together, but that's the same way all the other grants are. Nothing's getting approved anywhere yet. So if you want to go forward with that, we can approve that, and I'll send you down a task order for that. And she can start working on that, and once that money frees up, we can move forward.
This is the one that I had talked about before, and you said it was around $4,000, you thought?
$4,000, yeah.
$4,000, so I think for $2 to $3.5 million, that's a pretty good investment. So if you guys are okay with that, that would come out of the electrical fund to pay for this.
Motion to move.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to move forward with the Federal Department of Energy grant. $4,000 for a task order, is that what you're figuring?
Yep.
Second?
Second.
Coming out of electrical.
Moved by Paul, seconded by John. Any other discussion? Paul?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And a yes for me. Motion carries.
I think that's all I had.
Okay,
Thanks. You got anything else for me?
I think that's it. All right. Thanks, Steve. We don't have anything on old business or BC, so we'll go down to new business, the service to the upper area town for John Crotty. So if you want to come up and we can.
I guess I'm just here to address, curious if there is a plan or if there's an option to bring utilities out to our business that's inside the city limits. If we want to make an expansion, it would be nice to have utilities out there.
So yes, it has been looked into. Steve looked into it a while back. That's, it'd be over by the city shop where we looked at putting in another lift station.
Yep.
So if that's the case, that you guys would do that, we'd have to make sure that if we did it, there's enough buy-in from individuals around to get that, to make it. Otherwise, we'd have to.
My question then to that would be, you're talking about buy-in, you're referring to people outside the city limits.
Possibly, yep.
So we've been inside the city limits for 20 years and we've never had any utilities there. So why would we be kind of in the same group as the people outside the city limits?
Because you're asking the city residents to pay $800,000 or more for a lift station.
Is there a way that, all right. I understand it's, but then why were we annexed in 20 years ago and never,
I can't tell you that.
right? Is there any possibility that we can look out, like, go for rural, like it's just across the road?
I mean, you can get you can get the water and electrical to you. It's the sewer that's going to be
Right.
the issue. You could do, I think Steve looked at one time, you could do your own lift station, correct? Would that possibly work?
There's a few things like that came up. One of them, there was, we need additional easement, I think, from one of the houses there that the sewer line doesn't go, or the easement doesn't go all the way through. And then, we'll have to look at that again and see how deep that is with the sewer there.
Right.
Where does the sewer end over there? Right at,
Behind Charlie's Dock.
where?
Behind Charlie's Dock.
And Charlie's Docks.
And that's where we looked at putting a lift station in. Was
There's
right
no
in.
tie in with aggregate, we're on the same, roughly 75 feet away.
Does aggregate have?
I don't know if they have sewer there. I think it ends at the shop.
But water and electrical are easy for us to do. It's the sewer that's the.
Okay,
You already have electrical, I'm assuming.
I have electrical through NODAC, yes, not through the city. Yeah, I have no utilities.
Who does the cement class, do they have NODAC too then?
No, they're on our electric.
They're city.
They have city and
And they have water.
Water.
I don't believe there's
We can look, because part of it was looking at others was to help pay for that.
right.
And there was individuals that were interested.
Yep.
So, I mean,
Yeah, I just was, because we would like to expand, but asking a business to expand inside the city limits and then not being able to get all your utilities is sometimes a big ask too, so
right.
I'd just like the discussion to,
We can ask, I mean, Steve can look and see if there's other alternatives just for you, but like I said, there was other people that had expressed interest, so that's what we had looked at it. I had asked, Steve had just did a little bit of digging to see what we would have to do, but if you guys are okay with it, he can do a little bit more.
Well, I think we have to figure out something, whether, at least he knows that he can do it or not.
Right.
You know, and even residential side, even they had to eat the cost of that too, to bring it in too, so, and that's substantial, so, you know, so we've helped cost share on those things on the residential side, but, they weren't probably this far to bring them, and then of course they didn't need lift station or anything like that either, you know, so.
Right.
So it's, you know, it's a lot of things to.
even if water was available, I mean, that would help be a start for somebody as a business owner to make it easier to say, yeah, we might want to start the steps of looking at expanding, knowing that you're gonna get something, or at least it might be an option down the road. Instead of just a hard no. Maybe it is a hard no, maybe, but at least we know that so that we can make decisions based off of what's best for our business.
On water side, Zach, do you see any issues?
No, water would be pretty straightforward.
So we can get you water.
JR, do you know if there's anything against a septic system type thing inside city limits?
I'd have to look, I believe there is, but I don't know offhand.
Okay.
So I could, because I know we had looked into it
I don't know if that's
prior.
something you're interested in or not.
Right.
There was one resident that had that.
I think it was grandfathered in, that was the difference.
Yep.
I believe there's a statutory rule that says you can't install them
Right.
otherwise.
Yep.
So,
But there might be other options, because we had looked at, there was a house that was possibly gonna be built there, and one was we could put in a big lift station so we could do further expansion. Another one Steve had looked at, we could do a possible in-home where they had their own lift station. Do you remember that? We talked about it.
Everybody had to try their own first.
Like a boost pump or something?
Like almost a boost.
Yeah.
You
So-
can buy those pumps that will essentially lift it. That way you can run your sewer out higher in the house.
Right.
Yeah, we can, I pulled some maps, we can see what we can do. You know, there's that 2 different areas there, we're kind of looking at trying to only put in one lift station and supply it.
Right.
That's what kind of,
So how far north does the city limits go to the river?
No, for there, it ends at Charlie Stocks, and then it goes over to Crotty's property to the, kind of jets over, so. But there was the residents, and there's one potential new owner. When we heard somebody else wanted to put in there, a house, they wanted to annex in, so we looked at this before, and I reached out to some of those to the south to ask them if they would want to come in, so that we could help drive this price down of a lift station. And they all seem interested, but I couldn't move any farther than that without your guys' approval to say, this is what it's gonna cost us. So ultimately, I mean, Steve can look and see and then give some general ideas. If we can go these different routes, but then we're gonna have a task order that says, this is what it's gonna cost for this lift, for the lift station, this is what it would cost the other route. Would that be correct, Steve?
you know,
If you guys are okay with that for now. He can
Steve's okay
eliminate
with
it.
it. Looking at maps and,
yeah, I'll see if I can come up with a plan. Reasonable plan for that.
Okay. Does that work for you?
Yep,
Okay,
thank you.
you're welcome. So the next item is the reserve for the USDA loan. This is for the water and sewer project. We were supposed to put in $334 starting back on 12/31/2003. That kind of got missed, and you were supposed to put it in then, or excuse me, 2000. 334 was the first one, and then 2000 was thereafter. So we ended up with $80,334 in this reserve fund. The reserve fund is ours, we don't lose it, it's just the USDA requires it so that if something happens that we can't pay, it would come out of that reserve fund. Does that sound right, Steve and JR? I think that's why it's set up, is, if I remember right. So, our option is we can put in up to what we're supposed to have and then continue putting in, or if you look at some of our balances, we have put, when you look at the balance sheet, there's the in reserve, or it's a CD option type thing when you look at the spreadsheets. So it's in reserve, it's there, it's allocated, but we can't touch it until it's done. So we could do that as well, where technically what we could do is take $80,334, put it in a CD at the bank, collect interest on it, and let it sit there until 2063, if that's what you want to do. Or we can just set aside the 2,000 every year. It's totally up to you guys how you want to do that. My suggestion is just put it in, be done, set it off to the side. We're not losing the money, we just can't use it.
where would it come from?
It would come out of the water and sewer fund, because we've already that's what the $2 a month was supposed to be in there for. We started that early to help this, and then it just never got done. Because that's what's paying for this project, is that, I think it was $1 in each, so basically we take equally 40,160 $2? No, 67.
I don't know if I have a problem with it, but I think that that's something that, Nicole should probably weigh in on, being it's her portfolio, I think she should have opportunity to.
As far as where it comes, or how you wanna do
Well,
it?
how they wanna do it, and even Jason could put his,
Okay,
you know.
well then
Maybe we can just put it on the next agenda or not, or do we? Probably if it's waited this long, and wait 2 more weeks, so.
they wanted it taken care of because it's supposed to be done, so. If that is the case, then we're gonna have to make sure that we pull right now, we have to pull $2,334 equally out.
I guess that's my question. We could do to get it up to where it's supposed to be, and at the next meeting, we can decide.
You can decide if you want to do it the other way. Yep. But so we'll do that. For right now, we'll take that out. Okay? Because we have to. We don't have a choice in this. It's whether or not we want to do the full amount. So we'll put this on the next agenda, but we'll take out what we need to for now. The next item was the elementary student electronic board request. Casey had put that in. Basically, it's just they had asked about if the elementary kids did some things, if they'd be able to put it on the board out front. I think you guys all had read the email from Casey, correct? Are you guys okay with that? And
I would be good for it, I guess.
okay,
Creates town spirit.
Paul?
Yeah, I have no, as long as, they'll just have to see what it is and use your best judgment, so.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. So the last item then is electrical project discussion. And for that, we're going to go into executive session to talk about the land purchases. I don't foresee anything coming out of it. Motions on the end, but so is there anything else that we'd want to go through before the good of the order, before we go into executive session? Okay. All right. Roy, we're going to ask you to stay in the executive session to help us with this. The rest of you guys are free to go. (7:49) we'll reconvene from executive session. Back to the meeting. We discussed the potential land for electrical. That was the only thing. And I believe there is no action items that come out of executive session. Anybody have any motions? Motions? No motions on that? Then our last item is for adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
John makes a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Paul seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.